I may be blind, but I see your fear.
They say the streets have no mercy, but sometimes the ones who survive are the ones no one expects. Mara was one of them, a blind girl, alone, singing for scraps in a city ruled by blood, betrayal, and the Mafia's iron fist. And yet, one question would change everything. If I sing well, will you give me food? The neon lights of New Seoul flickered against rain-slicked alleyways, casting jagged shadows over cracked pavement. Garbage piled high, stray cats prowled between discarded bottles, and gunfire echoed somewhere far enough to remind the city's residents that it was never truly safe. This was the world Mara knew, a city divided into territories, each ruled by ruthless gangs, each life expendable. She moved carefully, her bare feet silent against wet concrete, clutching her broken guitar like it was a lifeline. Every day was survival. Every note she played was a prayer. Mara wasn't just blind. She had been left in darkness by fire, a childhood explosion that had claimed her parents and scarred her for life. She had learned to navigate the streets not with sight, but with sound, smell, and instinct. And in these dangerous streets, the sound of her voice was the only thing that truly belonged to her. That night, a gunfight erupted near the docks. Moretti clan territory clashing with a rival syndicate. Smoke rose, sirens screamed, and bullets ripped through the alley like angry lightning. Mara crouched behind a rusted dumpster, her guitar resting on her lap, strumming softly to drown out the chaos. And then she heard him, a figure moving with purpose, stepping over debris, gun slung low but eyes sharp. Luca, a Moretti hitman, feared by everyone who knew his name, froze when he heard Mara's voice. She was humming a lullaby, trembling yet steady, as if the world outside didn't exist. He approached cautiously, expecting perhaps a trap, maybe a petty thief, maybe nothing at all. And then she whispered, barely audible, "If I sing well, will you give me food?" The words hit him harder than any bullet. Luca, a man who had extinguished lives without thought, found himself holding out a sandwich in his coat. Something inside him stirred. Something he hadn't felt in years. But the streets weren't kind. The Moretti soldiers, hearing about the girl, argued over what to do. "She's a liability," one said. "She'll get us killed if the Kang family finds her here." Another spat. "She's nothing, let her rot." Luca's jaw tightened. "She's staying," he said, voice low, steel beneath it. "No one touches her, not while I'm here." And just like that, Mara was swept from the streets into the shadowed halls of the Moretti hideout, a place thick with smoke, gunpowder, and whispered secrets. Soldiers glanced at her, unsure. The boss, Don Moretti, hadn't seen her yet, but his men sensed something unusual. She wasn't just a street girl. There was a presence about her, a quiet defiance, even in blindness. As Mara was led through the dimly lit corridors, she clutched her guitar tighter, unaware of the truth waiting for her. The explosion that had taken her sight years ago had been caused, indirectly, by the very man who now protected her. And she was the lost daughter of the man who ruled this empire with fear. She didn't know it yet. She didn't know the stakes. But something was shifting in the heart of the city, and in the heart of a man who had killed without remorse. One girl's voice had done what guns and violence never could. It had made him pause. And now the question lingered, heavy in the smoky corridors of the Mafia hideout. Could a single voice, a single song, change the course of a criminal empire? In the Mafia world, mercy is a weakness, and kindness is a trap. Yet Mara, a blind girl with nothing but a broken guitar and a voice that could pierce steel, was about to turn monsters into men, and she didn't even know the power she held. Inside the Moretti hideout, Mara's voice became an unexpected heartbeat. Soldiers paused mid-task, guns lowered, ears attuned to her soft melodies. Even Luca, the ruthless hitman who had caused her blindness years ago, felt an unfamiliar tug at his chest. A pulse of guilt, tenderness, something he had long buried beneath blood and bullets. The corridors, thick with smoke and whispered secrets, seemed to shrink whenever Mara played. Each note she strummed reminded men who had killed without thought of the humanity they had abandoned. They were captivated, yet uneasy. A blind girl shouldn't have this power, not in their world, not in their streets. Yet outside, the city was restless. Word of the blind girl who sings spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of rival gangs. The Kang family, notorious for eliminating threats without mercy, saw her as leverage, a tool to weaken the Moretti clan. Mara didn't know it yet, but her music had made her a target, and the streets had eyes in every shadow. One night, Don Moretti decided to test the effect of Mara's voice. He summoned her to sing at a gathering, a tense assembly of his soldiers and rival emissaries. Mara, small and fragile in her tattered clothes, stood under the dim chandelier, clutching her guitar. She was silent, unsure if her notes would save her or doom her. The room waited, murmurs bouncing off marble walls. Men whispered threats under their breath. A gun rested near Don Moretti's hand, ready to strike if she faltered. And then she began. Her voice trembled, raw and haunting. Every note carried pain. Every chord whispered loss. Every melody bled truth. The tension was suffocating. Rival gang members, hardened killers, and men who had executed countless innocents froze. Even Luca leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table, his jaw tight. The room, thick with smoke and fear, seemed to hold its breath. Mara's song was not just music. It was a mirror, reflecting every sin, every regret, every lost chance at mercy. The performance ended, and the silence was deafening. Some men wept quietly, others clenched their fists, fighting emotions they had long denied. But the tension didn't lift. It thickened. Outside, the Kang family had been watching through the streets, waiting. Mara's song, her vulnerability, her courage, it had made her a symbol. And a symbol in the Mafia world is either a weapon or a target. Luca looked at her, conflicted, haunted by the truth he had yet to reveal. He was the one who had blinded her all those years ago. And the more he watched her survive, the more he realized that this blind girl, fragile as she seemed, was about to change the rules of the game entirely. She had no idea the power she wielded with just her voice. She didn't know that enemies were plotting, or that her protector carried a secret capable of shattering everything. One question hung heavy in the smoky air of the Moretti hideout. Could a single song, played by someone who had nothing, topple kings, alter loyalties, and awaken the conscience of monsters? The city held its breath. So did Mara, and so did Luca, standing in the shadows, wondering if he could ever atone for the sins that had stolen her sight, even as he fought to protect her life.